Wait a minute. Oh. All right. Oh, that's fine. What's popping with the population? This is a live stream episode of Do Rag with the Cape Road. I'll be discussing punk ass Tyler Perry and his deviltry. And yo, tell him what's up. So I just really want people to understand that the media that we consume, a lot of it is curated for bullshit. We tend to think that we're getting like genuine, okay, like genuine artistic representations of people's brains or whatnot, but in reality, a lot of the time, you are receiving media that is set up for you to be a jackass. And a great example of that is Tyler Perry and everything that he's ever created. I think Tyler Perry is a part of Cointel Pro. Now, if you don't know what Cointel Pro is, it was a program started by the FBI by J. Edgar Hoover's weird ass in like 1956, and it supposedly ended in 1971, but no, it hasn't. And they were going after the new left, like a bunch of organizations that were against the status quo, and the Klan a little bit, but not really, because obviously. But they were infiltrating organizations with spies and people that were giving back information from. It's alleged, but I think it was confirmed that the photographer for Dr. King, the day that he was assassinated, that picture that was taken was, if I'm not mistaken, it was confirmed that that photographer, who also took the picture of Emmett Till's uncle when he was testifying in court after, when Emmett Till got lynched, that guy who took that picture was alleged to be a spy, like a Fed. Then, obviously, the David Kaluuya movie that came out not too long ago about Fred Hampton, which wasn't really even about fucking Fred Hampton. It was about that dude that was snitching, Lakeith Stanfield. That's the actor that played him. But he was somebody that's a COINTELPRO type of dude. So, like, all of these people existed, you know, snitching and telling and trying to destroy the movements from the inside to save them in the long run because they thought they was going to die or whatever. I say all that to say, in the entertainment industry, that existed. Like, for instance, right now you got, for some reason, the last administration used Chuck D as a spokesperson for hip hop for the military. I don't know who's still listening to Public Enemy, but they use Chuck D, Jelly Roll, a couple other people to like promote America abroad. But you know what that's about. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Louis Armstrong, he was working for the feds and didn't know it. Like, they constantly use people that look like you to, you know, destroy you. And Tyler Perry is somebody that looks like us, and he's out here to destroy us. I don't know how anybody could possibly think that this man doesn't hate everything about us. And what I'm will get at for you to understand is if you look at his body of work and you look at the depictions of African women, depictions of African men, and depictions of lighter brown women, darker brown women, lighter brown men, darker brown men, you look at all of these ways in which he shows the experience of an African person in America, it is trauma, 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 and trauma, as he makes ridiculous amounts of money. He's a billionaire, but his product is ass. So I think he works for the feds because the depictions that he gives of us are ass. Like that 6888 movie, his most recent debacle, was supposed to be showing reverence to and deference to the 850 plus African women that were in a military regiment that was dealing with mail and whatnot, and showing their trials and tribulations going through that process because they were in a segregated U.S. military during World War II. And somehow he took that story, that little bit, like that's all you really need, because from there you can like do a lot. I mean, any military movies that aren't modern day, you can use like, oh, if it's somebody that's non-white, it's always going to be some bigotry in there because so there's going to be hardships with dealing with that. So you can use that and have an actual conversation about what it's like to look for valor within a nation that doesn't see you as a human. You can easily do a show, a movie, or anything about that. But did he? Nah. He took he took a story of 800 plus women and he turned it into a white fucking love story, like a ghost story. Like it was Ghost without, what's his name? Homie that passed away. What is his name? You know the movie Ghost. But that's essentially what he did. The man that played in Row House, I don't remember his name. I don't know white people like that. But he took the main character who he was in conversation, who he got a lot of information from, you would think, to do the story. And he made the movie just about her love for a dude that in real life she didn't even have, Patrick Swayze, thank you. In real life, she didn't even have a real relationship with. Like, it wasn't as deep as he made it out to be. But through that film, what you saw were depictions of darker brown skinned women being sassy and loud, because there was one of the characters who was real like, you go girl. You saw lighter brown skinned women being like prissy and blue blooded. You saw the over sexualization of them, which was hard to do because they was doing military shit, but he was able to do that. You saw, there was a scene in that film where, this is what happened in real life, when I believe there was 3 to 4 women that were in Normandy or in France or whatever that were driving a truck to try to go do a mail pickup or what have you. They drove on a mine and they ended up all passing away. And I believe it was 2 of the women, he had only 2 women passing away, but I believe it was 3 women in a car, but I believe 2 of the women were a part of the 6888. But he had a chance to talk about how sad that is. These women coming from whatever material conditions, then being put into a position where they're being counted out by the country that they want to fight for, trying to use valor as a way to justify their humanity within this system. You take these women, that moment where these women pass away and they get buried in Normandy, which from my understanding, they're like some of the only women buried in Normandy. They get buried in Normandy. And rather than you go into like, damn, that's deep, that's sad, you have the main character who was in love with the Tyler Perry's version of Patrick Swayze, Ghost. You have her go to the funeral. The funeral's ass. He don't add any kind of flair to it at all, like to make you really feel it. She walks after the session, after the funeral session is over, and just like has a moment to herself and like falls to the ground and then sees Patrick Swayze in the water. Like, fam, these real women died trying to give mail to racist people that didn't like them within the U.S. military. And you, Tyler Perry, took this woman's story and made it a white ghost story. He is working for the feds, bruh. The depictions that he has of us in media is really disturbing. Like, at the end of this movie, Kerry Washington acting all through her teeth, because Kerry Washington is one of the best teeth actors this side of the Mississippi. Kerry Washington acting all through her teeth walks into wherever the fuck with the 6888. She walks in, it's bright, the sun's shining through the stained glass windows. As she's walking, you hear somebody's in the distance scream her name out. I don't remember I forgot the person she was playing. But scream her name. Scream her name. Well, say her name. She turns. It's the white men who hated them earlier that now respect them because they gave them the mail. So she turns and he's like, yo, you was the one that got me my mail? She was like, yeah. And then he was like, whatever. And then he saluted her and she saluted back. And what's wild is as that scene is going on and like the audio fades out, the audio fades back in, and the woman that is the main character of the story, the lady at the time was still alive. She's reading off like all that they did after that point and how they was not respected the whole time they were doing their job. So that scene that Tyler Perry made wasn't even fucking real. As she's reading that off, you're seeing that, and you're like, yo, fam, why did you make that up? Like, why? What we doing? Like, why? You didn't need to make that up. You could have made this real, but it's because that nigga is a part of Cointel Pro. I am not speaking from a 5%er tight kufi standpoint right now. I'm trying to get you to understand that Tyler Perry would be a darling to J. Edgar Hoover in regards to destroying the African community with his shit media. When you look at the way that government controls media here, the Department of Defense has a media section. Like, they have a section that explicitly, well, not explicitly, specifically works with media, like as far as movies, music, sports, everything. Like, that's why up until I think 2016 is when a contract officially ended, while the U.S. military was working with the NFL with displays of patriotism. That's why they would show them doing the national anthem and all this other stuff, because after 9/11 they wanted to bump up recruitment. But allegedly after 2016, now the NFL only does acts of valor or whatever have you, or any kind of military stuff on their own accord, allegedly. But you look at film, the DOD, which is Department of Defense, which is like, with the Army, Navy, all that other stuff, they work with film. The CIA has its own branch within the CIA that works with media. It's so wild that Independence Day, that film, at the end of the movie, when Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, you know, beat the aliens or whatever. In the original script to that movie, Jeff Goldblum was supposed to be the one to beat the aliens. That's also why Jeff Goldblum was top billing in that movie. People forget or may not have known. At the time, Jeff Goldblum was the guy for that movie. He was the top billing. Will Smith was in the movie, obviously. He got paid, obviously, but he wasn't the main character. He wasn't top billing. Jeff Goldblum was. And Jeff Goldblum was supposed to be the guy that defeats the aliens at the end. But the Department of Defense, the U.S. military said, nah, we got to have it where, like, the military helps out and beating the alien at the end. Like, nigga, this ain't even real. Like, but they're like, nah, we need to fix that. So, if so facto, if you want to connect the dots, like I said with the Tyler Perry, J. Edgar Hoover, Will Smith can thank the U.S. military for his acting career because he got guap off of that Independence Day movie. But if it would have went by the original script, his character wouldn't have been that important and wouldn't have been that vital to the whole damn story. They rewrote the shit for the Department of Defense. So Chris Rock could blame the U.S. military for getting the shit slapped out of him. I just need you to understand that everything that you watch and everything that you take in is propaganda. It's all propaganda, right? But the stuff that you're taking in, be mindful of that and ask questions, right? Like, again, Tyler Perry. Back to him and his bullshit. Tyler Perry is Cointel Pro because I don't know if any of you have watched Beauty in Black. Beauty in Black is a Netflix series that Tyler J. Edgar Hoover Perry has. That is about a woman that is trying to not be sad. I don't even know, honestly, because the main character was trying to get a scholarship from a hair care company that is actually run by very evil, light brown-skinned people who are giving people cancer with their hair care products. And she's being trafficked. And they're in, like, Indiana, Chicago, Ohio. They're in a bunch of places. It's weird. But, like, again, depictions of people in that are terrible. He, along with so many others, like, people talk about the music, like, why certain music is popular and certain music is not. And, yo, I remember back in my day, this, that, and the third. It's like, I don't even want to go there with that bullshit. More so that certain forms of art are promoted in a way that they are because these motherfuckers literally control that. That's not to say that certain artists don't deserve their platform, because who am I to say that? I don't give them opportunities. But it's to say more so, look at what they're producing and what they're creating, and then look at other shit. Like, you be like, really, bro? Like, this shit is popular? How is this shit popular? For instance, propaganda as far as just cop shows, Bad Boys, everything. There's a lot of police shows on, like, CBS, like NCSI and all, NCIS, I'm sorry, and all this other, and Law and Order, that have been around for mad long and that have, like, wild audiences. But I've never in the day watched any of that shit, but it's wild popular. And a lot of people take legal advice as far as legal understanding from watching them fucking shows. And those shows are made to make cops look good. Those shows are not made to have you question anything, have you see nuance. They're made to just say cops good, people bad. Well, cops good, criminals bad. And criminals are whoever they feel like criminals are. So like Tyler Perry, when you look at this motherfucker, he has been able to construct a career off of majority nonsense. And I feel like it's because that nigga is Cointel Pro. They are letting him rock because him bragging about being the writer, director, producer, whatever on all his works would be fire if the work was fire. Like, it would be amazing if the shit was amazing, but it's not. But his artistic choices are very telling. And to argue like, oh, but the audience, there's people that like it. There's people that are going to like anything, right? Everybody got an audience. There's an audience for everything. Everybody got somebody that like them. There's an audience for everything. But it's like, as far as Tyler, J. Edgar Hoover Perry goes, when you run into more people, like, there's more niggas I know that I've never met in my life that don't like anything that he put out than there is people that are like, yeah, nah, I fuck with that. Don't get me wrong, there's people that are like, yo, I used to fuck with his plays back in the day, like when I first saw him on VHS and all that. I was one of those people that saw some of the shit on VHS. Some of them just was fire. Like, I still like Tyler Perry Family Reunion on VHS. But, and Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the first shit he put out, movie-wise. But then you look and you're like, this nigga is really allowed to do a caricature of an African woman, to completely disrespect and disregard the everyday lives of African people in America, to promote these ideas that this is how we are, this is my community. No, the fuck it's not, bro. And if it is, damn. Damn. Then you should take your $1 billion and do something about that if your community is like that. Like, he's scarred me with certain shit he's made. Fucking For Color Girls is a horror movie. That shit is a horror movie. There's a scene in it where Felicia Rashad blames a woman for her children being thrown out the window by her ex-husband or boyfriend or whatever he was to her. Michael Ealy. Michael Ealy threw her damn babies out the window, and Felicia Rashad came to the house as a woman is grieving uncontrollably. And she like, yeah, baby, sometimes you gotta get over that shit. It's your fault. Nigga, what? And then you might be like, oh, yeah, but it was based on a book by, the author and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, yeah, nah. And then even her, she had some foul shit. The woman that made that book had some foul shit to say about trans people, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, the product that a lot of these people are able to put out and are able to profit from. Like, what bothers me is not Tyler Perry's art. That in the sense that, like, I could just not watch it. What bothers me is that I know that there are people who cannot feed themselves, who cannot clothe themselves, who are in horrible material conditions. And Tyler Perry has a surplus. Like, he shouldn't, though. Should he be able to eat and sustain his life? Yeah, for sure. But not at the rate that he is. Because nigga, have you, like, 688, bro. I sat there, I've read articles about these women, watched several documentaries and breakdowns about these women, and then heard that he was doing a movie and immediately got sick out my ass. He took a story of women going against the odds of empire while still trying to be respected by empire, and turned it into the Ghost 2. Like Whoopi Goldberg, matter of fact, what the fuck? Whoopi Goldberg was in the damn movie. That shit was Ghost 2. The nigga made Ghost 2 Call of Duty. That's what he did. That's wild. Holy shit. Tyler Perry is a piece of shit. Yeah. This dude is the feds. I don't believe otherwise. Like, his product that he's allowed to put out and make buku cash from and buy a whole damn studio and not feed, clothe, and house everybody in that area and just like, liquidate his funds and just have like normal amounts of money, whatever. Not normalness, but like being able to sustain himself. Excuse me. This dude made a fucking movie that was essentially Ghost 2. And it definitely was Ghost 2 because Whoopi Goldberg was in a goddamn movie. The thing I also want you to understand from Cointel Pro was like, because I mean they allege that the program ended in the 70s. It's like they did a lot of misinformation and disinformation. A lot of people were assassinated. A lot of people were sent to prison on trumped up charges. They disorganized a lot of organizations, and they dismantled a lot of organizations, and they destroyed people. And I don't feel like it's over. I feel like it's still a thing. I feel like Tyler Perry is a part of that. The nigga, like, 688 was a layup, my nigga. It was a layup. Tyler Perry has done a lot of ass movies. Like, Jazzman's Blues is one of the dumbest goddamn movies I've ever seen in my life. You had a dude that was supposed to be a teenager that was going through, the white dude that ran into the... You had a dude, one of the characters in the thing was supposed to be, like, I forgot how old he was supposed to be, but he got out of World War II, but then somehow they was in the 60s. I don't know. He don't never know. His movies are timeless. They don't have time. Because that nigga suck. Like, 688 was a layup. Excuse me, sorry. Six Triple Eight was a layup. It was a layup. This nigga took the simplest story. And when I say simple, I mean like because there's a bunch of information available. It's not a lot of extensive shit because bigotry, and a lot of those women are deceased now. But he took one of the surviving women's story and fuckulated it and made it into Ghost 2, and Whoopi Goldberg was in the fucking movie. This nigga suck. Tyler Perry sucks. And he know that. And we all know he know that. But he's still getting money. Right? And that's Not what I'm even mad at. Like I said before, I'm just mad that that he has so much and there's so many people with so little. Yo, I'm not mad at him putting out his art. Do your thing, but give away your money, my nigga. Like, feed, clothe, and house people. Put yourself into a position where you good, you can eat off residuals or whatever, but you not sitting on billions, my G. Especially not with the... Now we talking about the art. Especially not with the bum-ass art you make. That shit trash, my nigga. Like, you have a whole studio and you made Divorce in the Black. You made Tyler Perry Family Reunion. You're gonna tell her. Like, you made I Can Do Bad All By Myself. My bad. Like, you made Daddy's Little Girls. Oh, I'm sorry, I ate all that food. My stomach is full. You made me look at Chloe Bailey differently after seeing that dumbass movie. I feel like he works for the feds. I don't know how I can prove it outside of his product being brain rot. But I know there's a picture of J. Edgar Hoover somewhere in that fucking studio. And yeah, man, I'm done because I'm getting frustrated. Shout out to y'all for listening. Appreciate you. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. This is just a rant, so it's random shit. Nothing really planned out. Trying to get my subscribers up. I'm at like 348. So if you just did me a solid and hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell, make sure you're able to know everything I'm putting out. The Patreon shit will be dropping very soon. And do yourself a favor and make sure to keep your do-rag cape rolled. All right, peace.